Hello and welcome to my presentation. My name is Brandy Taylor and I am in the BSN program at ECPI University Online, and this is regarding my senior practicum. It is blood culture draws off of central lines in the acute care setting, and this is NUR 456 senior practicum. So, a little bit about why I chose this topic. This is my introduction. We had a high influx of heme-onc patients on our unit, which basically is cancer patients, radiation oncology, chemo, and one of the issues we were running into is if they were fevering within a certain time frame of chemo, we had to treat it as if it was a possible neutropenic fever, which meant we had to draw blood cultures. And of course, most of these patients have ports, central lines like PICC lines, midlines, and many of our nurses did not know how to draw a culture. We were calling the medical emergency response team, who would come and draw our cultures, but we ended up calling them so often because we have such a high incidence of hematology oncology patients on our unit that we basically just had to start drawing them ourselves. We found out pretty quickly that many nurses don't know how to do this or don't do it per the UVA policy or standard work. So, being able to draw cultures is something that would benefit our patients, it benefits our nurses, and it would really be beneficial hospital-wide if this is something that we could implement, because there's no reason that we should have nurses on our units that don't know how to draw cultures. So getting ready to do this project, I had to meet with my project mentor. I met her at the very beginning. We met once or twice weekly, and she was always available for me to call or text if necessary. I designed a pre-survey. I got it out to my nurses. We sent it out in an email. We used SurveyMonkey and we used just a regular email, and they were able to print it out and turn it back in. We had to coordinate from the education department the loan of central line models and culture supplies, and then I created lesson plans. I also created like little mini leaflets to send home with the nurses after our teaching. Coordinated and set up in-services. I made a PowerPoint to teach in that in-service. I made schedules that told what time our in-services were, who was expected to be where, and I also created a post-test and a post-survey so that they could fill it out and we could see what they learned and how they decided they wanted to rate how I did on the teaching. So we got ready to go. I got everything set up. We notified the staff of their expected times to be there, and I got everything set up for my demonstration, teaching through the PowerPoint. I decided to do a teach back method through CVC models and tried to stay on schedule. And then also at the end of every one of our classes, I gave out the post knowledge test and the in-service survey, which they filled out at their leisure and turned in to me by the next day. This is my demonstration. On the left, you see I had 4 stations. On the right, you can see like a layout of what comes in a culture kit. And I thought this worked really well because there are visual learners, there are like speaking learners, everybody has their own way of learning. So this was really helpful. So this is actually a picture of 2 of my nurses going through the motions. So I started off with going through the PowerPoint, step-by-step directions. Everybody got the little leaflet that you see in the middle from the previous slide. And then we went through and they were allowed to do their own kind of walk through where they could ask questions, but it really was more of a muscle memory thing. When you see one, you do one, you teach one. So, I had been learning for the last 5 weeks, so these ladies got to learn in a day. And then in summary, so the post surveys and the post presentation knowledge quiz. The post surveys were great. I think the most someone missed was 2. I also had nursing students sit in on one of my presentations, which was really great. Some of our UVA nursing students. The the post survey regarding like how well I did. I had people kind of speak out feeling like I wasn't educated enough on the topic, or they didn't feel like I did very well answering their questions. It was really one of those things. I can only answer what I have something to give you answers from. This presentation and this whole project really opened the eyes of one of my managers of how kind of gray UVA standard work is. We had tried taking it to our committees earlier in the year who were like, oh, everything's kind of open to interpretation. But honestly, no, it shouldn't be. There should be a black and white step by step. When you pause your medication, it needs to be paused for X amount of minutes, not the assumed time. No, there needs to be a time, because your definition of long enough and mine are two total different things. And this was very eye-opening in that matter. As far as challenges go, my biggest issue is I had a nurse who has been nursing probably longer than I have, and she was very pushy about, just that, even though this is how you say I'm supposed to do it, this isn't how I was taught to do it, and I don't feel like it's right. My best response was, I hear you, I understand. I learned how to do some things differently too, but we're here, we're in this hospital, and we need to do the work based on how they want it done. If you don't like it, then help me to make changes to the policy by giving me your voice to move forward with how to make changes, because I'm not disagreeing that we have issues with this practice. I can only teach you per the practice that I'm given. So other than that, I think everybody was very receptive to it. There were a bunch of questions that I was able to write down that I plan on taking to the committee next month. I'm part of the Professional Nurses Service Organization, and they meet once a month, every like third Wednesday of the month. And so we have broached this subject many times, but no data to back it up. So now we have a lot of data, and I have a lot of breakdowns that I can give them on how I feel like things could be improved, the questions I have from nurses, and where we could really take this practice. I feel like this was very beneficial for my unit. It was beneficial for me, and it was beneficial for the hospital. And then this is my reference page. I reference the UVA standard work. These are the 3 main policies that I pulled from, and anything else I could find I have in my bibliography.